Let me tell you about Martha. She's 62, works as a school administrator, and hasn't slept well in months. Every night, she lies awake, calculating numbers, wondering if she'll ever be able to retire with dignity. Sound familiar? Martha isn't alone. Millions of Americans are trapped in what I call the retirement anxiety spiral, fed a steady diet of conflicting advice, scary statistics, and outdated rules that no longer serve them. My name is Robert Chen, and after 15 years of helping people navigate their golden years, I've discovered something troubling. Most of what you've been told about retirement planning is not just wrong, it's actively sabotaging your future. Today, I'm going to share the 5 most destructive retirement myths that have been keeping you awake at night. And more importantly, I'll show you the real strategies that can set you free. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, because what I'm about to reveal could literally save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Chapter 1. The $1 Million Prison. Let's start with the granddaddy of all retirement myths. You need $1 million to retire comfortably. Where did this magic number come from? It's catchy, it's round, and frankly, it sells magazines and investment products. But here's the thing. It's about as meaningful as saying everyone needs to wear size 10 shoes. Let me introduce you to my client, Dorothy. She came to me at 64, convinced she was doomed because she only had $650,000 saved. "I'm $350,000 short," she said, practically in tears. "I'll never be able to retire." But when we actually crunched Dorothy's real numbers, something amazing happened. Her Social Security would provide $2,100 monthly. Her house was paid off, eliminating a $1,800 mortgage payment. She planned to move to North Carolina, where her cost of living would drop by 30%. Dorothy's actual retirement need, about $3,200 monthly, or $38,400 annually. Bah. Her $650,000, using a sensible withdrawal strategy, could easily support this lifestyle, and her money would likely last well into her 90s. The $1 million myth assumes you're a robot who will spend exactly the same amount every year for 30 years. Never adjusting for circumstances, market conditions, or the natural ebb and flow of retirement life. Real retirees are wonderfully human. They travel more in their healthy early years, settle into routines in their middle retirement years, and often spend less as they age. They adapt, they adjust, and they find joy in ways that no spreadsheet can predict. Your magic number isn't $1 million. It's whatever amount, combined with Social Security and other income sources, covers your actual lifestyle in the place you actually want to live. Chapter 2. The Safe Investment Trap. Myth number 2 is perhaps even more dangerous. Play it safe with your investments as you approach retirement. This advice has created what I call the poverty pipeline, a guaranteed path to running out of money by being too conservative. Let me tell you about 2 brothers, Frank and Henry, both retired at 65 with $500,000. Frank, following conventional wisdom, put 70% in bonds and 30% in stocks. Henry, despite his advisors' concerns, kept 70% in stocks and 30% in bonds. 20 years later, Frank's account had grown to $720,000, but inflation had eaten away at his purchasing power. His annual withdrawal, which started at $20,000, now bought what $11,000 did when he retired. Henry's account $1.4 million. His withdrawals not only kept pace with inflation, they exceeded it. While Frank was clipping coupons and worrying about grocery bills, Henry was taking his grandchildren on vacation. The biggest risk to your retirement isn't market volatility. It's the silent wealth killer called inflation. A safe 3% return that gets eaten alive by 3% inflation isn't safe at all. It's a guaranteed path to poverty. Now, I'm not suggesting you put all your money in risky investments, but the idea that you should dramatically reduce your stock allocation just because you hit 60 is financial folklore that's destroying retirements. The solution? Think in buckets. Keep 2 to 3 years of expenses in truly safe investments, your sleep well at night money. Put another 5 to 7 years of expenses in moderate investments, and let the rest grow in diversified stock investments for the long haul. Remember, if you retire at 65, you might live another 25 to 30 years. Money you won't touch for 15 years can easily weather market storms and come out ahead. Chapter 3. The 4% straitjacket. The third myth is the rigid 4% withdrawal rule. The idea that you can only safely withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year, period, end of discussion. This rule has become gospel in the financial world, but it's based on a 1994 study that made assumptions that simply don't match how real people live. The study assumed you'd withdraw the exact same amount every year, regardless of whether the market soared or crashed, whether you were healthy or sick, whether you wanted to travel the world or stay home and garden. Real retirees aren't robots. They're flexible, adaptive, and wonderfully human. Take my client, Richard. He retired with $600,000, and the 4% rule said he could withdraw $24,000 annually. But Richard also had $28,000 in Social Security and earned $15,000 from part-time consulting work he genuinely enjoyed. When the market performed well, Richard gave himself a raise, increasing his withdrawals to 5%. When it declined, he temporarily reduced his consulting income and adjusted his spending. After 12 years of retirement, Richard's account had actually grown to $780,000 despite his withdrawals, and he'd lived better than the rigid 4% rule would have allowed. The key is flexibility. Start with 4 to 5% as a baseline, but adjust based on market performance, your account balance, and your changing needs. This dynamic approach typically allows for higher lifetime withdrawals, while actually reducing the risk of running out of money. Your retirement should be about living well, not following arbitrary rules created when Clinton was president. Chapter 4. The Social Security Waiting Game. Myth number 4 might be costing you the most money of all. You should always delay Social Security until age 70 to maximize your benefits. On the surface, this sounds brilliant. Delay from your full retirement age of 67 to 70. And your benefits increase by about 24%. It's like getting an 8% guaranteed return each year you wait. But this analysis ignores a crucial factor: the time value of money and what you could do with those payments if you claimed them earlier. Let me share the story of two sisters, Patricia and Linda. Both had the same Social Security benefit, $2,400 monthly at age 67, or $2,976 if they waited until 70. Patricia claimed at 67 and invested her Social Security payments in a balanced portfolio. Linda waited until 70 for the higher payments. Here's what happened. Patricia's invested Social Security payments, growing at 6% annually, created a nest egg of about $90,000 by the time Linda started collecting. That $90,000, earning a conservative 4%, provided Patricia with an additional $300 monthly in income. So while Linda was getting $576 more per month than Patricia's original benefit, Patricia was actually only behind by $276 monthly. And she'd had 3 years of income that Linda missed entirely. But the story gets better. Patricia used those 3 years, when she was youngest and healthiest, to travel, spend time with family, and enjoy activities she might not be able to do in her 80s. The optimal Social Security strategy isn't one size fits all. It depends on your health, your other income sources, your tax situation, and what you value most, guaranteed money today or potentially more money later. For many people, especially those who are single, in uncertain health, or who need the cash flow for other financial strategies, claiming at full retirement age makes perfect sense. Chapter 5. The Emergency Fund Overkill. The final myth is draining your wealth-building potential, keeping 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund, even in retirement. This made sense when you were working and faced the risk of job loss. But in retirement, you've already lost your job, on purpose. Your risk profile has completely changed. Think about it. Retirees don't get laid off. They have multiple income sources. They can adjust their spending more easily.
They have access to retirement accounts without penalties.
Many own their homes outright. Yet financial advisors still recommend the same emergency fund as someone supporting 3 kids on a single income. Let me tell you about George and Helen. They kept $36,000 in savings accounts, 6 months of their $6,000 monthly expenses, earning about 1% interest. I helped them realize that they only needed about $12,000 in truly liquid savings. They invested the other $24,000 in growth investments. Over 20 years, that $24,000 grew to over $115,000. Their oversized emergency fund had cost them nearly $100,000 in retirement wealth. Retirees have advantages working people don't. Penalty-free access to retirement accounts after 59 and a half, home equity they can tap if needed, more flexible spending, and often multiple income sources that reduce the size of potential emergencies. A right-sized emergency fund for most retirees is 2 to 3 months of expenses, not 6. This provides peace of mind while allowing maximum growth for the rest of your assets. Chapter 6. The Path Forward. Now that we've shattered these 5 myths, what's the path forward? First, calculate your real retirement needs based on your actual planned expenses, your location, and your lifestyle goals. Don't use arbitrary targets that have nothing to do with your life. Second, invest for the retirement you'll actually live, one that might last 25 to 30 years, not for the age on your birth certificate. Growth investing isn't just appropriate in retirement, it's essential for maintaining your purchasing power. Third, embrace flexibility in your withdrawal strategy. Start with guidelines, but adjust based on market performance, your account balance, and your changing needs. Fourth, optimize Social Security based on your complete financial picture, not generic advice. Consider your health, your other income sources, and what you value most. Finally, right-size your emergency fund. Keep enough for peace of mind, but don't let fear keep hundreds of thousands of dollars from growing for your future. Chapter 7. The Real Secret to Retirement Success.
Here's what the financial industry doesn't want you to know.
Successful retirement planning isn't about following complex rules or buying expensive products.
It's about understanding your real needs, making reasonable assumptions, and maintaining flexibility. The clients I've seen thrive in retirement aren't necessarily the ones with the most money. They're the ones who've broken free from the myths, made realistic plans, and adapted as circumstances changed. They've learned that retirement planning is not a destination. It's a journey. And like any good journey, it requires course corrections along the way. Martha, the school administrator I mentioned at the beginning, 6 months after our first meeting, she submitted her retirement notice. Not because she'd suddenly saved $1 million, but because she'd learned her actual number was much lower than she thought. Dorothy, who was in tears about being $350,000 short. She's been happily retired in North Carolina for 3 years now, living comfortably on less than she spent during her working years. Frank and Henry taught us about the danger of being too conservative. Patricia and Linda showed us that Social Security claiming isn't one-size-fits-all. George and Helen proved that bigger emergency funds aren't always better. Conclusion: your retirement revolution starts now. The 5 myths we've exposed today have kept millions of Americans trapped in unnecessary anxiety, overly conservative strategies, and delayed dreams. But now you know the truth. You know that your magic number is personal, not arbitrary. You know that growth investing remains important throughout retirement. You know that flexibility beats rigid rules. You know that Social Security optimization depends on your unique situation. And you know that emergency funds should be right-sized, not oversized. These aren't just financial strategies, they're freedom strategies. Freedom from the anxiety that's been keeping you awake at night. Freedom from arbitrary rules that don't serve your interests. Freedom to design a retirement that reflects your values and your dreams. The retirement industry benefits from your confusion and fear. Complicated strategies require expensive advisors. Scary scenarios sell expensive products. But the truth is often simpler and more empowering than the myths. Your retirement doesn't have to be a source of stress and anxiety. It can be a source of excitement and anticipation. The golden years don't have to be tarnished by financial worry. They can truly be golden. But here's the most important truth of all. Knowledge without action is just expensive entertainment. The strategies I've shared today only work if you implement them. Start by calculating your real retirement needs. Have honest conversations with your spouse or financial advisor about these myths. Begin implementing the strategies that make sense for your situation. Your future self is depending on the decisions you make today. Don't let myths make those decisions for you. If this video has opened your eyes to new possibilities for your retirement, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Share this with anyone who needs to hear these truths. The retirement you deserve is within reach. The myths that have been holding you back are now exposed. Your golden years are waiting. The time for retirement myths is over. The time for retirement truth starts now. Break free from the myths. Build the retirement you actually want. Start today.